Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Just Saying Football with Jack and Sean. I'm your host, Sean Gann, alongside my partner, Jack McNicholas. We're here to bring you news, notes, weekly updates, and game analysis of your favorite teams from around the league. If you've not had the chance, go check out our website at justsayingfootball.com and follow us on Instagram at justsayingwjs for article and video updates. Jack, we are in the last week of the regular season. Playoffs are next week, so we have some great content coming out. Let's jump right into the 4 o'clock slots here this Sunday when the Seattle Seahawks make their way to Arizona to face the Cardinals. Now, the Seahawks, first losing season in a decade. What are your thoughts going into this one as the Cardinals have secured their playoff spot?
Yeah, the Cardinals are in and the Seahawks are out. Unfortunately, we love seeing Russell Wilson in the playoffs, but it's not going to be this year. And, they're going to be looking ahead. There's a lot of questions around Seattle right now, about Bobby Wagner, about Coach Pete Carroll, about, quarterback Russell Wilson, as we just mentioned. And now, if it is that, I think that he is going to try to, Russell Wilson indeed is going to try to, have a big game and try to, at least try to knock the divisional opponent off a little bit going into the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the Cardinals, they've secured their playoff spot, but both the Cardinals and the Rams here have a chance to win the NFC West division. And I know for a fact that both teams want to do that. How do I know that for a fact? Because that's what every team wants to do. Okay. And no personal intel here, just common knowledge. I am going to go with the Cardinals. Just the way the Seahawks have been playing over the course of the season hasn't been great. Obviously, the Russell Wilson injury was a huge detriment to them. They did put up 51 points last week, which is awesome to see, but that was against a Lions team that hasn't played great throughout the season, especially defensively. The Cardinals have tons of weapons, whether it's Christian Kirk, A.J. Brown, James Conner, Chase Edmonds, or Kyler Murray himself, Zach Ertz as well on the offensive side of the ball. Seahawks defense is bleeding in points, bleeding in passing yards, and bleeding in rushing yards. I expect a really balanced game for the Cardinals and a very, very clean game from them. They did get the win earlier this season in week 11, winning 23-13. I expect a similar scoring kind of game like that for them. And it's keeping time of possession on their own. Nice running the ball, simple passes, stuff like that. They got to get ready for the playoffs. They got to make sure that everyone is healthy. Can't do anything too special in this game, but you want to secure the win if you can to try to win the division.
Yeah, and I think I'm going with the Cardinals as well on this one. I mean, last week we saw them step up and beat Dallas after they suffered 3 straight losses. This is a kind of a mismatch for the Seahawks in a way, being on the road. They've already lost to the Cardinals this year, and, the way Kyler Murray is playing, it's very hard to deny that, right now what he's been doing is just, he's keeping this offense moving, and it's definitely something they're going to try to take into the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's all been despite the ankle injury that he suffered earlier this year. So hopefully he gets, fully healthy for the playoffs, everything like that. All right, moving on. Another NFC West game. The San Francisco 49ers take on the Los Angeles Rams. Now, a lot of playoff implication actually for this game. The 49ers win, they're in for the playoffs. If they lose and the Saints win, they're out of the playoffs. A Rams win, Cardinals loss, secures the NFC West division. We just talked about that in the previous matchup. Yeah. What are your thoughts coming into this one as the 49ers have beaten them, I think it's 6 times in a row?
Yeah, and now, we mentioned there's a lot on the line for both these teams now. And, the Niners have to, keep their heads high with this one and, just be able to, just kind of edge out this win. This is a playoff game for them indeed. The Rams, it can affect their seeding, but they are in the Niners right now. What they've done is incredibly impressive. They have one of the best run games in the whole league. George Kittle, Deebo Samuel have been great. I think despite whoever plays this week, Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo for them is going to have to deal with the tough defense. I mean, the Los Angeles Rams are not really to be trifled with right now.
No, they're not. And, a huge boost for the Rams. Cam Akers, who tore his Achilles in the offseason, and I think it was June or July, is now back with the team, and he is expected to be seeing some reps coming into this one. So the Rams offense getting a little bit more scary as they now have a 3-headed backfield, and Darrell Henderson, Sony Michel, who's really been picking up the slack for Darrell Henderson, who's had that thigh injury and was on the COVID list on and off, and is now on the IR until the playoffs. Now that they get Cam Akers, there's a lot this offense gets to do coming into this one. I like it. I'm going to go with the upset, McVay over Shanahan. Shanahan's had his number. I was wrong. It wasn't 6. It was 5 games in a row. I think McVay knows what's at stake. He wants to win the division. He wants to try to get the number 1 seed if it's possible. Yeah. He doesn't want to see the 49ers in there if he can. So
Yeah,
I'll go with the Rams.
the Rams are very intriguing to me. For some reason, I want to go with the 49ers on this. I just like what they've been doing the last couple of weeks. Like you said, Kyle Shanahan does have McVay's number, and I think that it would be very interesting maybe to see these teams match up in a playoff matchup. Despite all the injuries that 49ers have been dealing with for what seems like the last couple of seasons and even into this season, it's become very interesting to see how they've been able to adjust, make these game day plans. And with a little bit of film on this team already having beat them this year, it was a big victory for them, 31-10. I mean, I do like the Niners this week. I think they scheme their way out. I think their defense makes Matthew Stafford a little uncomfortable going into the playoffs. We've seen him get shaken up the last couple of weeks. I do like the Niners this week.
I like it. It wouldn't surprise me. And like you said, seeing them in the playoffs, facing up against each other, that would be tons of fun. I love that. All right, moving on with the Carolina Panthers making their way to Tampa Bay to face Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Now, obviously, no Antonio Brown. He was cut from the team after he left in the middle or towards the end of the third quarter, took off his jersey, took off his pads, took off his shirt, gave a shirt to a fan, and peaced out on everyone. Wasn't 100%. Bruce Arians wants him to play because he was cleared by the medical staff, all these things, but he's no longer with the team. It's a huge loss for a team that also lost Chris Godwin earlier in the season with an ACL tear. They do have a secured playoff spot. They are fighting for the number one seed in the NFC. What are your thoughts coming to this one as they face the Panthers team?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Tom Brady do this for so long, just lose weapons and be able to, produce more. I think these are huge talents that they have lost over the last couple of weeks at the receiver position. But this is kind of what we saw last year as, there were people like, Chris Godwin was dealing with an injury late last year. Mike Evans was dealing with some injuries last year. And Tom Brady was able to make things work. I think that this is going to be a big adjustment. But where the Panthers are at right now, they are the fourth worst scoring offense. Tampa right now, the second best scoring offense. Tom Brady is just, absolutely an animal right now this year, 49-90 on the year through the air. So 10 more yards, he gets another 5,000 yard season. I think it's going to be way more than that. So I'm going to go with Tampa at home out the gate. I just think Carolina right now is kind of a miss.
No, they absolutely are. I mean, you have David Tepper coming out this week talking about how, signing Matt Rule to such a long and large contract maybe wasn't the best idea. You don't want to hear that from ownership about the head coach in only his third year. Obviously, their offense, whether it's Cam Newton or Sam Darnold or PJ Walker, just doesn't move the ball effectively. Now there's trade rumors that CMC might be moved this offseason, that they're open to moving him. So these are all things that you don't want to hear coming into the last week as we are kind of heading into the offseason now. Big question marks surrounding the Panthers. I think that their defense is still solid, and that's the thing that they have going for them, but I don't like their offense. Like you said, fourth worst in offensive scoring. They just aren't moving the ball officially. They aren't putting up many points. They are facing Tampa Bay at home. I do think that Tampa Bay gets the win. They got a huge win over them earlier in the year when they beat them 32-6. And despite all of the loss of weapons or the lack of weapons that Brady has, like you mentioned, he finds ways to win regardless of the name on the jersey that he's playing. He's a winner. That's what he is. There's a reason why he's won 7 Super Bowls. So I don't expect that to change up against the Panthers as they're now heading into the playoffs. To our next game, we have the New England Patriots making their way to Miami to face the Dolphins. Now, everyone missed the Patriots in the playoffs. And guess what? You don't need to miss them anymore because they're back in the playoffs after only one season with rookie quarterback Mac Jones. What are your thoughts coming into this one as we have two Alabama quarterbacks facing off against one another?
Yeah, I mean, Miami got the slim victory a couple of weeks early into the season, I believe. Week 1, and that's incredible, to see how both of these teams have progressed since then. The Patriots defense is out here making people uncomfortable. Miami's defense is making people uncomfortable. These are two young quarterbacks. I think it's going to be kind of a tough week, but, New England, such a balanced team right now. Miami has nothing to play for. And, I'd love to see a Miami miracle when they go and, beat New England in the late season like we saw with the Brady era. But, man, this New England defense is giving up only 16.9 points a game, the best in the league. And, their offense, it has, schematically gotten way better than last year. I like them right out the gate. I think the Patriots are, just going to be an incredible playoff team this year. It's scary to say.
Yeah, and I think the Patriots are going to win, and we did see them struggle for 2 weeks in a row when they faced the Bills the second time, and then when they went and saw the Colts as well. And then last week we saw they bounced back against the Jacksonville team, and you and I had talked about how this is the game where you need to bounce back on. If this is a game where you struggle, you begin to kind of worry about the long term for this season. Obviously, not for the end all future. It's Mac Jones' rookie season, but he was struggling those 2 weeks. Absolutely. Last week, balls out against Jacksonville, 22 for 30, 227 yards, 3 touchdowns. Ramondre Stevenson, 170 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground, and then Damian Harris, 35 yards and 2 touchdowns as well. Anyone on this team can score. They're running the ball efficiently. Mac Jones has now found his rhythm again. They put up a 50-burger against Jacksonville last week. That's what you want to have going into this, getting your momentum into the playoffs. I think that they can definitely beat this Dolphins team. This is a much different Patriots team in week 18 than it was in week 1. A lot more trust in Mac Jones, a lot more trust in the offensive system for sure. Put a few deep balls. I think this will actually be a surprisingly good game. I think that Miami would love to just kind of ruin the hopes of the Patriots winning the division, because the Patriots win and the Bills lose to the Jets.
Yeah.
Patriots win the division. And all of a sudden you can't believe that they were only on a 1-year hiatus about playoffs and winning the AFC East. So I'm going to go with the Patriots. I do think they get the win, but it'll be up to the Bills to beat the Jets to then secure their AFC East division championship.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, we no spoilers, but, I think that New England got a harder team in Miami than Buffalo got in the Jets this week. And with the division at stake, we were even talking about playoff scenarios. The soft camera just how, I would love to see a New England and Buffalo playoff matchup after what we saw this week. And I think it starts by New England winning this week for me. Miami's had such a good season. I hope they're, a big threat next year, but I think the Patriots go and get it this week.
I like it. We're talking about the Buffalo in this. We'll just jump right into their game. Buffalo Bills making their way, or my bad, New York Jets making their way to Buffalo to take on the Bills. I think everyone's expecting the Bills to just walk all over them, and I think that's totally fair. But one thing I do just want to point out for everyone talking about that they should do this. In Josh Allen's 6-game career against the Jets, he's only 4-2, 66% completion, 1,450 yards with a 5-for-5 touchdown interception ratio. So Bills cannot take this team lightly. Josh Allen seems to take a step back when he plays the Jets for some reason, and every quarterback has that team. They just can't seem to play at their best that they're capable of against them. Just gets to them. It's a mental block. It's whatever it is, and every quarterback has that. For Josh Allen, happens to be the Jets. I do think that the Bills win, but I don't think that Buffalo can just assume that the Jets are going to roll over in this one. If I'm the Jets, I'm saying, screw it. We don't want you to win the division. We're going to beat you. We're going to do everything we can to beat you. I do think Buffalo will get the win, but I just don't think that anyone can take it lightly. I think that it's one of these games where the Jets might surprise out of nowhere. And it will be because Buffalo thinks that they're just going to lay down and take it, the Jets.
Yeah, and I think that, right now we're looking at this week, we're looking at team playoff scenarios. We're also looking at teams that have improved. We definitely saw some improvement out of the Jets last week against Tampa before Brady had his way. But, the thing is, for me, I think that it's going to be a great game for Josh Allen. I think that, last game he played, Stephon Diggs is really the key here for me. He had 13 targets last time, 8 receptions, 162 and 1. I mean, I like the matchup for them, but you're right. If they have a bad game going into this, some, bad vibes going into the playoffs, it could spell trouble. So I think that the Bills do step up. They're at home. They go and get their division. I would love to see that for them. They're a great team, 3rd best offense, 2nd best defense right now. A team like that deserves to make a deep playoff run. So I think it starts here. I think they get the Jets. Easy for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Before we go on to our next game, I just want to say, Buffalo, get a running back. Yes. Get a 3-down running back. You are a running back away from being what could potentially be one of the most lethal offenses in the entire NFL. And I like Singletary and I like Breida and I like Moss, but liking them and them actually producing are two very different things, because they haven't really produced when you need them to. It's always Josh Allen. It seems like who's doing all the running and all the passing for them.
True.
Go out and get a running back, please. I want to see this offense so much more balanced. And if they have 1,000-yard rusher with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, oh man, I would hate to play this team. I would hate to be in the AFC East. So please, Buffalo, hear my plead. Go get a running back this offseason or in the NFL draft. I would really appreciate that. But moving on, I'm going to digress. We had the New Orleans Saints making their way to Atlanta to face the Falcons. Again, we mentioned this a little bit earlier. Playoff implication for the Saints. If the 49ers lose and the Saints win, Saints are in the playoffs. Once again, they just surprise everyone.
Yeah.
They got a chance here. What are your thoughts coming in this one against the Falcons? They are going to be missing some key players in this one.
Yeah, I mean, and when you're looking at this Saints team right now, what they're doing, they have had the quarterback struggles this year. They're 8-8. This Falcons team has even kind of stayed in it at 7-9. But it's been a rough season. And I think that what happens there is, good coach like Sean Payton kind of comes in and is able to kind of calm the storm. If they do win this and the Rams do beat the 49ers, the Saints will have a chance to get in there. I think that would be an interesting game right now for them to give Taysom Hill, just the full playbook. Let him, show them, some opportunities, not outside the gadget plays, but really through the passing game, because that is how they make a deep playoff run if they're going to want to win this. This team's been through a lot. They're missing Michael Thomas, their all-world receiver who's been out for a year and a half. It's been a really tough ride for them. I think that they go out and they get this division win on the road. It's a very interesting game to me. How the Saints have stayed in this is because of their defense. Really, it's really just they're the fourth best rushing defense, the fourth best against scoring. In Atlanta, they're the third worst scoring offense, and giving up points. I think that very favorable matchup for them to take on. Instead of the Niners taking on the Rams, I think New Orleans drew the right cards here to actually slip into the playoffs if they can.
I like it. I'll also go with the Saints. Their defense has been solid all year, and especially the last remaining 6 weeks of the NFL season. Their defense has just really, really stepped up. I expect a huge workload for Alvin Kamara going into this one. He's only seen 13 carries last week, 13 carries the week before, and then 11 carries the week before that. Got to give him a little bit more. I know he's had a few, minor injuries here and there throughout the season. This is a game that matters. You got to win this one if you want to keep your playoffs hope alive. Obviously, you're rooting for the Rams if you're a Saints fan in this one. Yeah. You need to make sure that the Rams win and upset the 49ers. But first and foremost, you got to win your game, And I think that's exactly what the Saints are going to do. Falcons are going to want to play spoiler as best as they can. But I think that the Saints have a good enough defense and can scheme around Taysom Hill to find some outlets just for them to score. We constantly see it with Hill. I don't think he's a true quarterback. I don't believe in him as the future of this franchise in terms of their quarterback one. I actually like Jameis Winston a lot. They were 5-2 under Winston as quarterback, and they've been, I think, 3-6 since then. They've really struggled without Winston, without a pure passer, and Taysom Hill just doesn't have that 50-yard ball that you and I talk about. All quarterbacks seem to be able to throw the ball pretty easily 50 yards down the field when you're in the NFL, and Hill struggles to do that. He doesn't have the deep ball like that. Constantly, wide receivers have to go back to catch it instead of it hitting them right there in the breadbasket. But I do think that you can scheme with Hill enough to beat up on a Falcons defense that hasn't really been super strong the entire season, and it looks like they're also going to be possibly without some players going into this one, like Fabian Morrell, their cornerback, and maybe Dante Fowler Jr., so that's a huge boost for the offensive line of the Saints, considering that they're going to be without Armstead going into this one. But I'll still go with the Saints. I just think that they have the better team. I just think that it's theirs to lose, really. That's really it. It's theirs to lose at this point. They have the team, they have the roster, they have the scheme. Now you just got to go out and do it. That's it.
Yeah, winning you're in, and you lose you're going home. I mean, it's a tough part of the season. And honestly, though, is there a bigger game right now that's win or go home than this Sunday night Raiders and Chargers matchup?
There is not. But what's funny is that if they tie, they're in. It doesn't make any. If they could make
it on every play.
Knee it on every play. 0-0 tie. All right, we'll take it. Knock out the Colts. Get in there. Go. Chargers and Raiders. Let's go. Agree before the game. No, it doesn't count as collusion.
But division rivals, like they want to beat each other, and I think that the Raiders. It's for me. I don't know why I like the Raiders this week. I love Derek Carr. I hope Darren Waller comes back this week. Everything is on the line right now for both these teams. The Chargers, they have gotten over their woes of losing one possession games, but they did beat the Raiders, 21-14 back in week 4. And man, I mean, Justin Herbert this year, 35 touchdowns through the air. This Chargers team, you have to love them. They have guys we've been talking about all season, just being able to get it done. But wow, just Josh Jacobs, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, Derek Carr has the tools to take on this Chargers team that a lot of people are going and thinking that they're, the favorites.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you're talking about second-year quarterbacks, Herbert and Burrow, I mean, they've been electric in their second season. Obviously, we didn't get to see a lot of Burrow in his first. Herbert won Offensive Rookie of the Year over Mike Jefferson at the time, who was a rookie, but that's okay.
Controversial topic on this show.
Yeah, more because it pains me more than anything. But I don't know. This to me is one of those games where both teams are going to want it, and both teams are going to come into this game doing all that they can to beat each other. Like you mentioned, the Chargers got the best of the Raiders earlier this season, and I don't know who to pick in this one. I'll be honest with you. I like the fact that Darren Waller is back for this game is a huge boost. We haven't seen him in weeks. I had him as a fantasy owner, and it was killing me to have such a good tight end that wasn't available because of the knee injury, and then COVID, and then the knee injury. And now you get him back in what is in the most crucial game of the year for you as the Raiders. And that's huge considering that Hunter Renfrow has just been going off this entire season. Yeah. And I love what he's been able to do in the passing game, 99 receptions, over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. He's kind of showing out as Derek Carr's guy. Yeah. I'm going to let you go first on who you're going to pick, because I don't know who I'm going to pick.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Chargers, but for me, it's about, just the veteran skills of Derek Carr, I think, are going to get them through this. I think we've seen him in the playoffs, before, where you're like, how did they get in there? But it's really because he has had this team. And I think this is a great matchup, for Josh Jacobs, who we see struggle a lot, but this is the second worst rushing defense in the whole league with the Chargers. I think the Raiders need to play smart, play the clock right. They need to take a lot of time of possession away from Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, all those guys on the Chargers offense. But I think the Raiders have like a huge upset potential here, and I'm going to go with them. I think that this is going to be a shootout. I think this is going to be a high scoring game. I love it though. I'm gonna go with the Raiders. I don't know why.
All right. Just to go opposite of you, I'll go with the Chargers. Actually, no. Maybe I should call the tie. No. That would be that'd be tough. Yep. Screw it. I'm gonna go with the tie on this one. The first ever Just Saying Football tie. I think that both teams are going to go into OT and then decide we both want to make it, and we'll see each other next week. How about that instead? So I'm going to pick the random tie instead of the Chargers to go opposite of Jack. I'll pick the most neutral answer in the world. So tie from Sean. You guys, everyone heard it here first. So if they do end in a tie, might reach God level status this weekend. But,
you're not already there. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, buddy. But that is all the time that we have. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Look, we got it. This is the last week of the regular season, everybody. The long wait for football happened, just took so long, and it just went by so fast, the regular season. So enjoy the last weekend, have some beers, enjoy your fantasy. If you're in week 18 and still playing, if you're not, congrats to all the champions. I'll give a shout out to my cousin, Mitchell Herrera, who won in our keeper league that Jack is a part of. Congrats to Mitch. Good job. Hopefully you listen this long, buddy, to get to hear this shout out, but enjoy, and everyone get ready for the playoffs. I think this playoffs is going to be a lot of fun. There's no clear cut number one team on either side. So it's going to be a great one. Yeah, man. And big playoff content coming. Always check us out. JustSayingFootball.com, Just Saying Football on YouTube, and Just Saying No GWJS. Follow that on Instagram. Keep up with our article, our off-season content, our playoff content coming out soon. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, and enjoy.